When I inherited my grandfather's 20-acre property just outside Maplewood County, I thought my life had finally found its quiet rhythm. The land wasn't fancy. A stretch of green hills, an old barn, and a gravel road leading to the main gate, but it was mine. Every sunrise came with the sound of birds and the sight of dew glittering across the grass. I didn't need neighbors, noise, or change. Just peace. A few years back, a new development began sprouting up next to my land. At first, I didn't think much of it. Progress happens. Then I met her. Karen Whitmore, the self-proclaimed president of the Lakeside Homeowners Association. She was the type of woman who wore sunglasses indoors and spoke as if every word came with a trademark symbol. From day one, she acted like she ran not only the HOA but the entire county. Karen introduced herself as a community visionary, talking about shared beautification projects and harmonizing landscapes. She claimed her HOA could elevate property values for everyone, including me. I politely declined her offers. I didn't need a homeowners association telling me what color to paint my fence or how tall my grass should be. Weeks passed, and I began noticing little changes near my boundary. Survey stakes popping up where none belonged, construction trucks parking halfway across my gravel path. When I confronted one of the workers, he told me the new phase of the Lakeside Homes project extended slightly into my land, as approved by the HOA president herself. That didn't sound right. I dug out my grandfather's original deeds and county survey maps, the same ones he used to fence off the land decades ago. Every line, every marker proved one thing beyond a shadow of doubt. They were building on my property. The morning I walked down to the construction site, I expected to find a misunderstanding, maybe a misplaced fence line or a few misread coordinates. What I found instead made my stomach drop. Concrete foundations, freshly poured, stretched deep into my property. Rows of framed walls stood where my pasture used to be. The sound of hammers and saws filled the air, drowning out my disbelief. I flagged down the foreman and asked who authorized the builds. He shrugged and said, "The HOA, ma'am." Karen signed off on everything. He even showed me a permit, one that conveniently excluded parcel numbers. I asked if he realized this was private land. He smirked and said, "Talk to Karen. She said it's already been annexed." That word, annexed, rang in my ears. HOA Karen had told her workers, her board, and even prospective buyers that my land had been absorbed into their subdivision. No purchase, no agreement, no legal filing, just her word. I called her that afternoon. She answered cheerfully, pretending not to understand what I was so upset about. When I confronted her with the county maps, she waved it off. "You're mistaken," she said in that syrupy voice. "Your boundaries must be old data. The HOA board approved everything last year." I hung up and hired a licensed surveyor. A week later, he returned with measurements, photographs, and certified documents proving that not just one, but 36 homes were sitting squarely inside my property lines. My lawyer's face went pale when he saw the evidence. "This isn't a boundary issue," he said grimly. "This is full-scale land theft." When I showed Karen the report, she smiled thinly. "Well," she said, "it's too late now. People already live here." That was the moment I decided if they built on my land, they'd have to live by my rules. By the time the first for sale signs went up, I'd made up my mind. If the HOA thought my land was theirs, they were about to learn what ownership really meant. The single road leading into the new subdivision, their only access point, cut straight through my property. It was my legal right-of-way, privately maintained for decades. So early one morning, I brought in a contractor, and by noon, a massive steel gate stood across the entrance with heavy chains and a bright red sign. "Private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted." Within hours, the calls started. First from confused residents, then from a furious Karen. She demanded I remove her gate immediately. I told her plainly, "It's my gate on my land. You're the trespasser." When she showed up in person, red-faced and shaking, she brought along 2 uniformed HOA security guards. They tried to bluff authority, threatening fines and legal action, but I calmly handed them a copy of the county property deed, stamped and notarized. "Every inch you're standing on," I said, "belongs to me." Next came the police. They reviewed my papers, spoke with my lawyer over the phone, and then told Karen something that made her go silent. "This is a civil dispute, ma'am. He's within his rights." The next morning, I served eviction notices to all 36 homeowners. Some were shocked, others furious, but most were simply confused. No one had told them the homes were built on stolen land. Panic spread through the community. News reporters showed up. Lawsuits started flying. The HOA board resigned one by one. Karen tried to spin the story, accusing me of harassment, but when my lawyer produced the survey maps and emails she'd forged, even the county turned against her. And that's when she realized the gate wasn't her biggest problem. The truth was. The fallout came fast and hard. Within weeks, the county launched a full investigation into the Lakeside HOA and its self-appointed queen, Karen Whitmore. The forged annexation papers, falsified permits, and fake signatures she'd used to push her expansion came to light in front of a courtroom packed with homeowners and reporters. She had built her empire on lies, and now it was collapsing piece by piece. Karen was charged with real estate fraud, forgery, and illegal development. The homeowners she had misled turned against her, filing a joint lawsuit that stripped her of every cent she had. The same people who once obeyed her HOA rules now demanded restitution for the homes they'd bought on land that wasn't hers to sell. As for me, the judge's ruling was simple. Every structure built within my legal boundaries now belonged to me. 36 brand new homes, each one sitting squarely on property that had been mine all along. My lawyer called it the most expensive lesson in arrogance this county's ever seen. I didn't want revenge. I wanted closure. I chose to sell most of the homes, keeping a few to rent out, and donated part of the profit to a legal aid fund for property owners, so no one else would have to fight what I fought. Ironically, the biggest house, the one Karen had planned as her personal residence, became my new office. Every morning I'd sit by the window she once bragged about, sipping coffee and watching the sunrise over the land my grandfather left me. Peace had returned, and the gate still stood tall, locked not to keep people out, but as a reminder that boundaries matter. Because in the end, no HOA, no Karen, and no arrogance can ever overwrite ownership and